And joining us now from Montreal is Beverly Spanier. Welcome to the CJN Daily.
Nice to be here.
It's really great to meet you, and it's actually an honor to meet you. I know you've been an outspoken advocate for patients at Maimonides during the pandemic and before. So it's great to have your views after we mark 1 year since the first vaccines were given. Let's take a look at what just happened at Maimonides to mark the anniversary of the rollout. Can you tell our listeners what went on there and what you know?
I wasn't there because I have medical procedures in the morning, but as I understand it, Dr. Rosenberg spoke. I think that the person who received the first vaccine, Gloria LaLuz, was there and she spoke, and I saw the Gazette report. She did a very good job, and they had a group of people there. I think that the rabbi said a prayer for our losses during the time that that COVID took place. So they were trying, I think, to rewrite a little bit history, but in any event, they did say that we were 1 year from the vaccine. They also went floor to floor, and they had a little balloon party with a cake. On the 5th floor, we had one at about 2:00. I did speak there for a couple of minutes at the beginning of it, in which case I emphasized the fact that we had losses during COVID. We lost 60 out of 180 of the people that became ill. The statistics, I imagine, are not exact, but that's close enough. We also have to remember the fact that our pharmaceutical firms so rapidly came up with some kind of vaccine. I certainly was grateful for that. They're still working now on a pill to try to deal with Omicron. So we are in the midst of dealing with another battle of our own. We were 2,300 cases yesterday.
What was your first reaction when you heard that they were going to have a 1 year anniversary? What went through your mind when you heard about what they were planning?
My reaction was the same as the reaction I had a year ago when they wanted me to be first and they wanted me to go outside in the midst of the press. I was very worried about coming into contact with large numbers of people. I still believe that we do not understand the seriousness of what happened here, and that it is not a major celebration of a 1 year event. We went through a year of grave difficulties. I'm a Holocaust survivor's daughter. My father did get out of there. He didn't end up in a concentration camp. And basically, I know that you do not celebrate. You have to memorialize what happened here and be grateful to the people who made the vaccines. I would have had a speaker there from one of the vaccine companies to explain what went on. But certainly, we have a division of Pfizer here. Certainly, there were individuals out there who tried very hard, did an excellent job of it, and that's good to honor. But I didn't see this as a balloon and cake day. I saw it very differently. And a year ago, I felt the very same way. If you look at pictures of me, they took pictures. It was all over the press when I had my shot. I was grimacing because I didn't think it was a day to take pictures of us. No one knew whether the vaccine would work or wouldn't work. No one knew the effect at that point of the vaccine. It was a very serious attempt to give a group of guinea pigs that shot. And the sad part of it, there was a woman who was first in Quebec City. She's no longer with us. We have to look at this COVID business was a serious enemy. And that's the way to look at what we have to deal with. And it's not over yet.
What were the major areas that were failures of both the Maimonides administration and the local public health people and the Quebec government that caused 60 people to die and so many others to get sick?
I think when you're in a senior residence, some of them probably would have passed away anyway. It's a question of age. And you get any kind of disease in there, and you're going to cause them to lose their lives. Where I think errors were made, and I have no way of knowing exactly, supposedly the Quebec government said, don't take the COVID victims out and send them to the hospital. Leave them in your institutions. Well, when you do that, they set up miniature little hospitals here, one in the synagogue. I think you all know about it. One was in another room in the gym, another ended up being in what was the staff lounge before. I wasn't in them, so I don't know how they were manned. And when I got COVID, 5 days after I had my first COVID shot, I went directly to the Royal Victoria Hospital. I went to the Jewish first, then they switched me over. But basically, I think that you need a lot more medical presence in these institutions. Right now, we have on my particular unit, when the doctor can come, and it isn't every week, we have a couple of hours of medical presence in person a week. They used to have rounds on weekends. They used to have more medical presence here, but they have less now. And I think that's an error because you cannot allow people with the kind of health that we have, and I include myself, we need to be cared for in the best possible way, and we need enough coverage to do so. When we know we had an electrical failure here, and I saw some mistakes. The electricity went out in the area of Côte Saint-Luc. It was only an hour and 20 minutes, but it was longer. The province had 300,000 out at one point. I have a BiPAP machine, and it didn't work. It went out because there was no way to plug it in. And I think that we also had very few staff on the floor. We had, I think, when they called her in, we had one PAB on this side, and we had an LPN who took the work and acted as a PAB. But basically, we don't have enough staff here for emergencies, and we certainly need emergency contingency plans in place in case things do not go on as they should have. And during the COVID pandemic, it was new. No one knew to do testing, or right now we check people when they come in the floor. It's a whole different system that has been established, but it wasn't there when this started. And I don't think anybody expected the seriousness of what occurred. But I don't know to what extent the government was at fault or the management here, but we made what I call serious mistakes. But I don't think that we have the kind of medical care we need in a building where you have so many different kinds of illnesses going on that are acutely, I call some of these things acute, not simply, this isn't a residence where people, are feeling well. It's a chronic care facility. And Quebec needs to look at the ratios that they need to put in to take care of these people. We have another issue now, which I think is a problem for our post-COVID situation. I believe that even in a residence, masks should stay on when you're outside of your room. I do not believe that we still do not need to keep a certain distance from everyone. I do not believe we should have large numbers in any one room for any kind of functions. I think we have to keep distances and we have to be careful because we're not out of the woods. And right now, the staff goes to the second floor here and they are told where they're going to go. So staff members are floating around from floor to floor, from unit to unit. You don't have any sense that your PAB will be the same one because they're moved around and you don't develop relationships. I think it's wrong. I think you have to be very careful what you do. We're not ever going to go back to what we were before. We can't. We have to be more careful and we have to care for our patients. And these are patients. I will not play the game of saying they're in a residence. We have quads, we have multiple sclerosis patients, we have Parkinson's patients here. This is an institution with people who are ill. They're at the end of their life and they're not here because they can stay in their own homes. We need proper care for them.
Has the vaccine, the 3 shots, loosened things up in terms of, social distancing and activities as far as you
Yeah,
can?
my problem is I think they're too loose. They are back to activities. And I wonder what the rules are for the number of people that are supposed to be in a room. Is there still supposed to be social distancing? Don't forget that this building is not just the residents who've had 3 shots. We even have staff that have had no shots. They're doing the 3 tests every week.
Wait, what? There's still staff that's not allowed, that can work?
Yes, they don't want to take the vaccine. And look, the Prime Minister said, okay, they don't have to. Mr. Legault has said that they don't have to take those shots. They don't have them. They take 3 tests a week to make sure that they don't have COVID. But I know you're shaking your head. We have all kinds of,
Stunned. I forgot about that, but actually that's right, because he was worried. They pushed back the deadline, not he, but the whole government, because they thought that all the nurses would quit, right?
right? And you can't forget that there are individuals in here, they come in the door, they have to prove that they have 2 vaccines. But now individuals are getting ill, even with 2 vaccines, they are getting COVID. So we should not be walking around out here thinking we're the only ones in this building. We have construction workers in here. We have all kinds of caregivers in here. We have private help in here. You need to protect yourself. I don't go out of this room without a mask on. And I think that everyone else should too. They should be careful. And we should be protecting them still. We can't say that we're okay. If I see a number like 2,300 in Quebec, I'm not scared. I'm worried. And I don't think we're safe, period. They're asking people now they're being asked to stay home to do their work again. Those that can, they shouldn't go into the office. That's for sure. There's no reason to if they don't have to. It's sad that a year later, we still have so many worries.
Would you like to end by telling us some of the people who you knew who passed away? You mentioned that, it was something that should have been added to the ceremony, which was your idea to get a rabbi to talk about those who we lost, or who were lost, I should say.
Yes.
You want to say a few words about some of them for our listeners?
Well, I think that you have to be careful what families want to really save us. But I'll speak to you about a next door neighbor I had. She wasn't young. I don't know if she was over 100, but this particular woman, I won't give her name either. She loved to go shopping. She loved to be outside. She loved the world. She was fine. She used to come to me because I don't particularly care what I look like in terms of my dressing. Beverly, you have to change. I consider you a sister. You need to wear different clothing than what you're doing. Put on some makeup. You have a lot of fun with some of these. And when she died, I felt very, very, very bad, because I don't know how she died, where she died, but one after the other of them we lost, and we need to remember them. But there's something I need to end with, and that is, we have staff members here that are jewels. They come in every day to work, no matter where they're put, no matter what they have to do. And on me, there are all kinds of procedures which are not fun. They are kind. They have a sense of humor. They are warm. They are helpful. They got me ready for this interview, and they were combing my hair and making sure I wore something decent. That they're sweet, and you have to look at them as what. One man is here from Sri Lanka. He says "mama" to me. He makes a joke and he said, "Okay, mama, what do you need?" I prefer having female caregivers, but he comes in the room and he says, "Mama, can I do this, that, and the other?" They are fun, and one of them spoke yesterday. One of the LPN spoke on the 5th floor just after I did. She said how she tried to keep everybody happy during COVID, and that we're a family. And this side of it, when we make our complaints, there are individuals that worked every day in those COVID units that were frontline workers. And we had workers here that worked very hard, 12-hour shifts. Some of them still work overtime. We have to be grateful that there are people like this in this world willing. They're not paid a fortune here. Their job description isn't particularly, they're not having bottles of champagne in the Ritz. They are working very hard. When they have a special function, they usually pay for it themselves, and it's a meal somewhere. But we have to be glad that they're here and grateful for them. And that's something I will always remember.
But, what should the Jewish community be doing differently or better that it hasn't done, in your opinion, to make sure this is a better place?
When I look at the Jewish community, I think they have tried. Some of them have cameras in the room. They look all the time. They've hired extra staff to take care of the families that are here. They don't leave them alone. They certainly have made their feelings known loud and clear. Someone mentioned to me last night, and I would like to say this, the Jewish community could do this. We could just plant a tree. This is a PAB who suggested to me, Plant a tree in the backyard in memory of those we lost during COVID. Just plant the tree and put up a little, she's crying, put up a little plaque. And I think you're a very good woman, because right now I'm looking at a reporter who has a soul. And this is very important to me.
Well, it's been
Anyway,
great to speak with you, and I really appreciate you taking the time to tell us what's been happening 1 year later. Thank you so much, Beverly, for being on the CJN Daily.
and thank you for having me. Take care.